I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
Guys, welcome back. Oops, the podcast. Thanks for joining us. We have an extra special guest with us today. But first, I'm joined as always by Ryan. Is in very good shape. Lynch.
Ryan is very polite.
Right, he's also very polite.
Not to be rude, but thank you. Moving forward, it's polite, not muscle.
Ryan is
but
polite and muscular. But we will no longer include that in the introduction as long as Lynch does not like it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We got Lynch here, we got Colorado here, and we have Ben Herskowitz in the house, aka Ben Books the World. Down goes the new iPhone on the ground.
That fell in the spot you can't get to.
Hopefully that didn't break.
Damn.
We're good. Yeah, we're good for now. But dude, welcome to the show. Good to see you. Ben, I connected with on Instagram because he was doing a similar Afghanistan trip. He's a travel guy, content creator, traveling all over the world. We were just briefly talking about what his life is like, and it's crazy. I'm always intrigued by the life of travel content creators and what that's all like. So I guess before we get into Afghanistan, which I want to talk about, I'm just kind of curious about your whole deal.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of all over the place. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, bro.
And yeah, I've been traveling just about 3 years now, almost full time. Like, haven't had a home base, been kind of all over the world. I think like 48 countries now or something like that.
That's your total?
Yeah.
And when did the spark hit you that like this is what you wanted to do?
Yeah, so I grew up already going to Germany every summer because my mom's from Germany, so I already had like access to like another country and got to see what it was like outside of the US. And then when I was in 7th grade, I actually went to school in Germany for an entire year at like a German public school.
You speak German?
Yeah, fluently. So that was really nice to grow up speaking both languages at home.
Definitely.
I didn't really have to learn it. I just kind of knew it already.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So yeah, I did that and I loved it. But my mom was like, you got to finish like high school in the US and then you can go and do whatever. So basically like after I finished high school, which was right around COVID time, I had an online business and I was like, I got invited actually to like a retreat for my online business in Costa Rica. Nice. And about 4 days into that trip, I canceled my flight home and ended up staying there for like 3.5 months.
Oh shit.
And since then I haven't been back home. Like,
cool.
I mean, just once a year basically for the holidays and just been traveling all around.
So you don't feel any like, do you ever feel homesick?
Not really. I mean, it's nice to like see my parents like when I come back for the holidays, but I wouldn't think of like the US and like Vermont and Florida really too much as my home. Like I just feel attached to the travel and just visiting new places, and it's more like the people that I meet out there that are like new homes.
Right. Everywhere feels like home.
Yeah.
So that is sort of like what you need to be able what you need to be able to accomplish in order to do this effectively, because as I start to get older now, I sort of got into doing all this. 2017 was the first time I made like a video, and then it kind of just turned into something I was interested in. I was like traveling, whatever. But as I get older, your life at home starts to feel heavier and heavier. I'm married now. And that's not going to stop me from traveling, of course, but I have and I also just have like a job that requires me to be around to some degree. Yeah. Like, of course I can still travel and make stuff, but like being gone for 2 months, like it's not something I can really do. Maybe, I'd have to just make a change. So I'm always curious about that. So like, do you have a girlfriend? Like,
not right now. But yeah, like as you're talking about with like responsibilities and like being attached to a place, like after I finished high school, like that's kind of the time where you have the least attachment and the least responsibilities that you'll probably ever have in your life. Mm-hmm. So right now I'm kind of taking advantage of that time. Like, sure, maybe I'll settle down somewhere and like have like more of a long-term base eventually. But like right now I'm just trying to use that to the fullest. The fact that I have literally no attachment or responsibilities to really anywhere in the world. Mm-hmm. So I can just kind of bounce around. Like I got 2 backpacks here, and that's everything I own basically.
Oh, dude, that's crazy. So Lynch, we've been getting him more into traveling. He's been doing some solid damage lately.
A little bit.
Lynch, what's your body count at right now of significant destinations?
My body count, I'd say
We've done this before.
I haven't been to Europe until last year for the very first time. So I've been to London twice. I've been to, when I went to Europe, I went to London, Paris, and Amsterdam. I've been to some islands,
Nice.
but those are more tropical.
Belgium.
Trained through Belgium. So very just like the skim of the milk on top of Giulio's cappuccino in terms of experience. but I'm in the
solid.
cup.
Some good damage. You're in the cup and you're crushing it. So hearing what he has just said, and some of those islands include Costa Rica, the Bahamas, right?
Yeah.
Where would you recommend a guy like Lynch go next?
It really depends like what you're like looking for like beaches, mountains, like something that's like a full culture shock. I mean, the place that I recommend to everyone is probably Pakistan. Like it might be a little out of your comfort zone, but it's a place that really has it all. Like the mountains, the food, the culture, the history, and like some of the friendliest people you'll ever meet too.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to ask about Pakistan because I've heard people having tough experiences in the airport or with like officials. Did you have any problems?
I haven't had any problems like that. The times that I have heard of people running into stuff like that is really just when you go to certain areas. Like there's like the Balochistan region.
Oh, that's a prickly region, right?
Yeah, in that region, they'll usually assign like security guards or whatever to you.
Did you go there?
I have not been there yet, but I wanted to go there to like Quetta because I had seen, I don't know if you know Bald and Bankrupt and like Backpacker Ben. They were both like big vloggers that had been there and did like this crazy train experience there, and I wanted to do that, but like we had a really bold plans for our trip in Pakistan. Like for a month, we're like, oh, we're gonna go all around the country, and then we really only got to do like 6 or 7 destinations because it's just so big and there's just so much to do. But the regions we went, we didn't have security except for we took the train from Karachi to Lahore, and that was like an overnight train. It was like 12, 13 hours. And there they gave us like a security guard like at the train station.
When you say they, like, did you have a person arranging all this stuff for you?
We were doing it all by ourselves. I guess it was just like the police that kind of like gave us a security guard. That was the only time I'd experienced that, so I'm not really sure what the difference was, but I guess we were a bigger group, like it was 6 of us, so we like drew a lot of attention because people don't exactly normally take that train, especially tourists. So I think we had a pretty big crowd around us at the train station, and they were like, maybe we should like have a guard just to like keep this at bay.
No, I mean, Pakistan, there's like 100 million people in Pakistan or something, right?
It's a lot of people.
Big ass country. All right, did you know this? Pakistan is actually an acronym.
Really?
Yeah. So, and I remember learning this in college, and I don't know how specifically, but so it's like Punjab. I think the A is like Afghania, which is like the northwest frontier. Then Kashmir, Sindh, Balochistan.
Okay, I did not know that.
I know. There you go.
That's pretty cool.
So Pakistan is interesting to me. I want to go there at some point. I'm a little intimidated by it. I definitely get food poisoning all the time when I travel, which sucks. How are you with that?
I got a pretty iron stomach. I can handle it usually. Like we did a street food video in Karachi, which usually is not good for like our stomachs. We were mostly all okay. Kieran had a rough couple days because he drank some like cold drink with ice cubes in it, which is probably a bold decision.
It's the ice cubes, right?
It's the ice cubes in the water usually. Like that. Yeah. That's what puts you out for the count.
That's what'll get you.
My fiance struggles with that. Did you always have an iron stomach, or have you just built an immunity over the years?
I don't know. It's probably like a bit of like building up an immunity over the years. Like even when I was like traveling through like Southern Africa, like I was drinking the tap water in pretty much all the countries, and I never had an issue. I mean, like in South Africa, like the locals were saying they don't really drink it, but I was drinking it the whole time. I didn't really have an issue with it. I mean, I think in Zimbabwe, I decided not to drink it, and maybe like Tanzania, but like I went through like 8 countries there, and I'm pretty sure I was drinking the tap water and like almost all of them.
He's like,
it's like a
superpower. Drinking out of a stream. I was drinking out of the Ganges.
Yeah, I mean, I got one friend, Dan, who's also a crazy traveler. He's done a lot of like around Africa travel, and Like he just says you just like get immune to it. Like he's drank tap water and just eating street food all over Africa, and is like over time he's just like, you got to deal with it, and like it just gets better.
Part of it is a mindset. Like if you have anxiety about it, like it's more likely to happen somehow. I find that to be the case.
That could probably be true.
For me, it's like as long as I have like a decent bathroom somewhere nearby, I'm usually not that stressed about it. I got really sick in Nicaragua, but it was fine. I got sick on my way back from Afghanistan on the plane, which sucked.
Damn.
That was like, couldn't be worse. But I don't even understand exactly how it happened, because while I was in Afghanistan, I was completely fine. I arrive in Dubai. I'm so pumped. We go, and then we just like eat and drink a lot that night. Something about like the shift can also fuck you.
Yeah.
So like just the idea that I went from eating, I wasn't eating a ton there because I was trying to be careful. And then you just go and you start drinking and fucking eating a club sandwich and French fries. And suddenly like your stomach's like, what are you doing? That's my my non-expert theory.
Yeah, I think it's definitely like a little bit of a shock to the system sometimes, like when you switch it up like that. But yeah, overall, like I've always been pretty good. My one rough experience, I had to go to the hospital in Peru because I got like really bad food poisoning there.
How bad are we talking?
Like I had like salmonella, like intestinal infection, like I had like, they tested me for like 4 things at the hospital, and I had all of them. Like I was just out for the count. Like
For how long?
So it was getting bad for like 4 days, like in Arequipa, like in the south of Peru. And then I took an overnight bus to Cusco, and I was feeling really rough already, but I was like, oh, like I'm going to do the Machu Picchu hike, like coming up. Like, I really want to do this. I don't want to miss out on it. And I got to Cusco, which is like up at like over 10,000 feet. So you're in like, it's a shock to the body. And like I was at the hotel and I could barely get out of bed anymore. And I was like, you know, this is like day 6 of feeling like deathly. Like I should probably call a doctor or something. But I called the doctor. They came to my hotel, like checked me for a second, and they're like, oh, we got an ambulance out front for you. Took me to the hospital. I stayed there overnight. They gave me like antibiotics and a little bit of everything. And after a day, I was like somewhat better, but I ended up having to recover for like basically a week. But
like in total?
Yeah, like almost a week. But the crazy thing was the cost, like private, like healthcare, like everything, ambulance coming to see me at the hotel. And the price for all of that ended up being $250.
Oh my God.
Like I don't even know if I had insurance. I might have had insurance, but $250 for all that is just crazy.
That's one of the good things about getting sick in other places is it's never anywhere near as expensive as it is here, no matter what.
Yeah, no, that's the crazy thing. People would always be like, oh, like what happens if you get sick there? It's like probably less than what happens here.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you're probably better off getting sick in another country.
As long as it's a place that has like okay.
Yeah, as long as you're not like super
remote, or in a place where it's like, yeah, actually for something like food poisoning, I would feel pretty confident in most hospitals. But like if you don't have a hospital nearby, that's where it can be shitty.
Yeah,
you weren't going to die or anything, but like it was probably like if you had just waited it out, you probably would have been fine, right? Or no?
I think I was just severely dehydrated, and I wasn't like getting better. So I think they needed to give me like antibiotics or like IVs or whatever at that point.
4 days in of like a serious struggle, that's probably a good time to pull the trigger on some healthcare.
Yeah, no, I was being a little stubborn. I was like, I'll be better. And it did not seem like it was getting better.
Fuck, dude. Well, I'm glad you've lived to tell the tale there, at least. So, okay, I guess let's talk about Afghanistan because I'm curious about that. So you did that trip. I think we did a pretty similar. What was your like itinerary?
Yeah, so for me, it was 8 days. I flew into Kabul, then I did Bamiyan.
Did you fly in from Pakistan or from Dubai?
I flew in from Dubai, but the rest of our group flew across the border from Pakistan. And I was supposed to do that with them, but like for some business stuff, I had to fly to Kabul or to Dubai and then fly back into Kabul. But I was like, I'm not missing this trip. Like I'm going to make sure like that I meet up with the guys. So I basically flew in after them. So that made me a little bit more nervous because I was like, oh, I'm going to cross the border into Afghanistan with like all my friends. Like it's going to be chill. Like we'll have a group. And then all of a sudden I was flying in by myself.
Totally.
I was like, oh, like I know what's awaiting me there. Like I did my research and whatever, but I was like, oh, now I'm by myself. Like this is a different experience.
Totally. Okay. Before we continue on the Afghanistan thing, one other thing I want to ask you. Are there any places that sound too intimidating for you and why?
Not really. I think I know enough people where I get the information on like exactly what I'm going to experience in a country, like especially like these more perceived as dangerous or just like off the beaten path type of countries. Like I have enough contacts where I always know what the situation is going to be like, and pretty much everywhere in the world like you can go to right now. I mean, North Korea is closed, and maybe like a place like Sudan and right now Syria too. Like those are places that you basically can't go, but almost everywhere else in the world, like as a tourist, you can pretty much go with the right information and contacts.
Got it. Yeah, because sometimes I like will hear things about places where like it's not friendly. They don't have good they don't have like decent lodging. They don't and it's like super dusty, and I'm just like, I don't know that it sounds that appealing to go there. Sometimes, is like my thought.
I mean, there's definitely some places that you're gonna be like budgeting it out. Like it's just not gonna be high standards. It's gonna be like definitely remote and different. But overall, like you'll always have like the ability to go to most places.
Yeah, solid.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to Afghanistan. So did you have Muhammad John as your guide?
No, I requested Muhammad John when I had like when I arranged everything, but he was booked already.
Okay.
I can't remember if I ended up meeting him or not. I might have seen him like at one point of the trip. I can't remember anymore now. But no, we had Shabir, and the other guy was it started with an N now. I can't remember, but they were both amazing.
Cool.
But yeah, it seemed to be from the same company, I think, at least.
Okay. So Kabul, and then what did you do?
Yeah, so we did they did 2 nights in Kabul. I did 1 night in Kabul because I got there a day later. And then we drove to Bamiyan, and we did 3 nights in Bamiyan.
Did you stay at that little hotel with the fucking nice, like, Asian-looking guy?
No, we stayed at, like, a really nice hotel, like the luxury one, the Gogola Hotel. It was, like, overlooking the Buddhas.
Oh, cool.
Like, it was sick.
So I get the impression that some of that shit wasn't open when I went there. Is that possible? Because for some reason I stayed in, like, I see people like you and my other friend, he stayed in this, like, sick hotel in Kabul. I'm like, why didn't I stay at these places?
Did he stay at the Serena?
I think so.
Oh yeah, that place is
You
crazy.
stayed there?
I wish. No, we stayed at another place which was also pretty nice, but the Serena is like 5-star, like sick hotel.
Fuck.
It's a chain. Like they have them in Pakistan and in I think Tajikistan and also Afghanistan.
I had heard that they didn't like they were saying that they weren't letting us stay in these places because like it made you a target.
Yeah.
I think stuff was like a little pricklier then than it is now, maybe.
Yeah. I think that's mainly the reason. Like a lot of people weren't allowed to stay at these places just for like safety and stuff because like that's where all the politicians or like the like diplomats and whatever stayed. So if there was going to be a bombing or if there was going to be anything like that, that would be the spot for it. And yeah, now like I guess it's a little more chill. Like if you're staying in these places because there hasn't been really any of those things. But yeah, I guess you went a lot earlier than I did, so there was still a lot of unknowns, and they were just trying to keep you as under the radar as possible, I think.
Totally. Okay, so you went to Bamiyan. Did you? I forget if it was you specifically or somebody else. Did you went and saw some of the school stuff, right?
Yeah. No, we all.
So
we all
that's
went
how
to the
we
school.
connected.
Yeah.
Was they went and checked out the school stuff that we had been working on, and it was cool to talk to somebody who had actually gone because I see pictures, I hear how it's going, but I wasn't able to really know what was going on. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts about it all.
Yeah, no, I mean it was awesome. Like I'd watched your videos like a year earlier, I think is when they got posted or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was like kind of getting me more inspired to go and plan my trip. And then like they talked to us in the second day in Bamiyan, and they're like, hey, there's this like school, like if you guys want to go, we can buy like supplies like ink and paper and pencils and stuff if you guys want to donate and like visit the school. And then like as we were pulling up, I was like, oh, I think this is like the school that GIULIO like funded and like whatever. And he was like, oh yeah, it is. And I was like,
No way.
That was where I made the connection. I was like,
Cool.
oh, sick. Like this is the results of like your funding and like when you got the community together to like do this.
Cool, man.
And then I had like recognized a few guys from the video, like
No
one of
way.
the teachers and like one of the students too.
Cool. That's amazing.
And yeah, so we went in the classes and just kind of like learned about their day and like how that works and everything. And then like some of the kids that spoke better English, like we basically just like asked them a few questions, like pretty basic, like what's your favorite subject? Like, what do you want to be? Pretty much every kid was either wanted to be a doctor or a pilot, which I thought were interesting. Like, I don't know where pilot comes from.
Yeah, interesting.
But yeah, they were all really cool. And then like before we left, there was like one kid that was really good at English who was older, like 17 or 18. The one I ended up sending you a video, I think, of him like thanking you and like just talking about how it's helped and whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, and his English was really good at that point. So that was just cool to see.
Totally. I'm trying to remember because you got to send me that video again.
Yeah. I will.
I know I saw it when you posted it or whatever, but dude, it's so cool. And then you went up north. Did you drive?
Yeah, we drove. You also did the Mazar Sharif
That drive
right?
is not worth it, dude. That's a tough drive. How was it for you guys?
Yeah, it's a long day. I think we started at like 6:30 in the morning or so, maybe 5:30 from Bamiyan. And we got to Mazar, I think at 9:30 at night or so. And honestly, like everyone's like, oh, weren't you nervous to like go to Afghanistan and like deal with the Taliban and all that stuff? And I was like, I was the most nervous for that pass.
Yeah.
Like that tunnel scared the shit out of me.
That's
like
a
I was
scary,
like, I might die from carbon monoxide
scary
poisoning
tunnel.
in this tunnel.
Was there traffic in it?
Yeah, there was definitely traffic. And the craziest thing, like in the peak worst part where you're like starting to feel like your breath a little bit because it's like so bad in there, 3 bikers like on bicycles went by us in the middle. There were 3 Russian guys who were just biking around the country. It was crazy.
Dude.
Like I looked to my left and I was just like, did I just see like bikers go by, like backpacking bikers? And we got to the top of the tunnel, like the top of the pass, and it's just these 3 Russian guys. And I was like, you guys are crazy. And they're like, yeah, we started in Tajikistan, we biked down, we looped around Afghanistan, now we're going back up.
That's
like,
cool.
Damn, you guys are crazy.
That is gnarly. So I think they've paved the tunnel since.
They paved part of it.
Okay.
So it's only the part that used to be like the worst part, like that last section where I think most of the issues happened. That part's paved, like maybe the last like 10 minutes of the drive.
Okay.
Everything else is still unpaved.
Okay, got it. Yeah, so for those of you guys who haven't seen this video, and I imagine most people listening to this pod probably have, but this is called the Salang Tunnel. It is it's got to be at like 7,000 or 8,000 feet too. It's like high
it's
up.
way up there.
It's the Soviets built it. It is a rugged, shitty, long tunnel with like barely any light. It's not paved. People break down constantly in the tunnel. And like, dude, I remember when we got out of the tunnel the first time, there was like people on the side of the road like crying and hyperventilating because of like how long they had been in the tunnel for. It was super fucking gnarly. And then naturally at the end of that night, of course, we get picked up by the Taliban and have this like really unpleasant field trip before the Taliban.
That was there?
Yeah.
Okay.
That
I
was-
couldn't remember where that was.
So that was like later that day in that drive, like toward the end of the drive, like at night we get stopped at checkpoint and then that whole thing happened. So anyway, that sucked. But so that was definitely the worst day of my trip. That was the worst day of my travels for sure.
Oh yeah. I'd be very nervous if that like was happening to me too.
Great story now, but it's not worth it still. Like obviously I love that I went and would go again. Well, I'm probably not going to go in anytime soon, but like the point is if I knew that was going to happen the way that it did, I still would have gone, but whatever. So anyway.
Yeah, no, that's definitely like a sketchy experience. Like we didn't have any run-ins like that. But yeah, like when for us, the tunnel was pretty bad, but then we got out of the tunnel. We had the worst fog I've ever seen in my life. Like you probably remember what that cliffside was like on the way back down. You could not see like your hand in front of your face. Like our like van had like a little like sunroof. So I was like standing out of the sunroof and I was just like filming myself because it was just white all around you. You couldn't see anything. Like you couldn't even see the cars in front of us. And for some reason, our driver always wanted to stay like really close to the edge. I don't know why.
And you're on a cliff?
Yeah, we're on a huge cliff. And it's basically just all like a dirt road. But there's tractor trailer trucks coming like at us, and then there's like a little bit in the middle. Like there was a good amount of space to go to the left, and I don't know, you always stayed really close to the edge on the right, and I was like, damn, this is like sketchy.
Jesus.
Yeah, so that was also not the best. And then also like with the music too, like everyone likes to play the music even though music's banned there.
Interesting.
And so we were always like listening to music a little bit, but then there was like in the fog a few times we had a few close calls because we'd always turn it off or turn it down like when we got to checkpoints or whatever. But like because of the fog, there was like one time we didn't even see them, and then like I was like out the top filming, and then like out of nowhere I see like a car on the side of the road with like a couple Taliban like helping him out. I don't know what it was. And I just like ducked back down.
Oh my God.
Turned off the music. I was like, oh.
I didn't even know that was a rule, the music thing.
Yeah. No, they completely banned music. You can only listen to like religious music. But also it's another thing where like they don't really enforce it. They just don't want to see it. Like every single person is listening to music in their car. And they just like, they almost like, they don't want to get caught, but like a lot of times they want to like see how far they can push the boundary. And I'm like, and I was like, no, we don't need to push the boundary. Like, let's just.
Do you know why? That's a thing?
I think in the Sharia law, like the strictest form of like Muslim practice or like whatever basically that they're enforcing there's something about music and how, I don't know, it's like unpure or something like that. I'm not super well versed in it, but I believe that's like the thinking of it. But they can listen to like the Quran or like the religious music. Mm-hmm. So like the one day where we had like a Taliban escort, he was just playing like Quran or like religious music the whole time basically.
Was that in Mazar, the escort?
Yeah, I was in Balk.
Yeah.
That's where they gave us one.
Interesting. So were you able to go in the Blue Mosque?
In Mazar. Yeah, we went in there.
They didn't let us go in because we had a camera. So
oh, really?
I was like, all right. But it was kind of like run down by the time that when we were there anyway. I don't know how it's looking these days. It's a UNESCO site. It's like it's pretty cool, but it didn't look its best at the time.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely must have put work into it because when I went, it was like beautiful.
Interesting.
Like, it was so nice.
That's cool. Okay, so after Mazar, then what?
So from Mazar, like we basically did the day in Balk. And then in Bamin, we had also gone to like Bandamir too, like at the same time, which is unbelievable.
Very cool.
And from Mazar, we had 2 nights there, I think. Yeah, 2 nights. And then we drove through Kunduz on the way to Tajikistan.
Oh, cool. So you did that border crossing? That was open? Yeah. Oh, that's fucking cool. And then you go on the Pamir Highway or whatever?
We did, yeah.
Wow. So okay, we're talking about remote destinations. Like this is beautiful mountains, like nothing around in Tajikistan on this like famous highway where some of the biggest mountains in the world that aren't in the like Himalayas. And that's a scenario where I'm like, okay, like if you were to get super sick, like that could potentially suck, right?
Yeah, there's nothing out there. Like we did not have the greatest time on the Pamir Highway.
You mentioned that to me. What happened?
Well, there was a lot of things that went into it, but this was like about a month and a half into the trip. So after doing like a month, like full on in Pakistan, 8 days full on in Afghanistan, and then crossing into Tajikistan after like the last 2 days with Mazar and Kunduz, we'd probably driven like 30 hours in the car or something like that. And so at that point we were like already getting towards kind of done with driving, and we didn't do a ton of research like about the Pamir. We were like, oh, like that's the thing you do there. But we didn't realize we were signing up for like 7 more days of like 8 hours a day of driving. So like a day into that already, we were like, oh my God, what do we sign up for?
Yeah.
Like we were all like,
how are the roads?
They're terrible. They're like, it's a highway, but it's not a highway. It is like the worst roads ever. It's so bumpy, so like rocky, and like all cliffside edges and just curvy, and like our driver would drive so fast on them too, and just like that was another issue. Our driver was just like not as good as he could have been, and was not the greatest about seeing bumps when they were coming up. So we hit a lot of bumps really hard. And yeah, it was just not a good experience. And the food too just didn't help either. It's just kind of the same thing. It's like stale soup and not very good bread, which is kind of what we were eating 3 days a week, like 3 times a day for a week.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a lot of it went into it, just being really burned out, not having data either. And like all of us kind of made like content and stuff. So at that point we had gone like 3 weeks without any good internet, and we were trying to get a few things done for work. And we just didn't have anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I think if I had gone only into that without the other stuff, it would have been a cool experience, because the mountains were really cool. The nature was amazing. But we had just come from Afghanistan too, and most of the premier highway is you just looking at Afghanistan.
Interesting.
Like, it's not really Tajikistan that has much to offer. It's you on the side, on the border of Afghanistan, looking
across that
at
river,
the mountains.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So that's the main thing, the main attraction. And like, usually it'd be cool. Like, oh, like I'm right on the border of Afghanistan. Like I'm looking into it, but we'd just been there. So it wasn't as like exciting anymore.
Right. Well, have you heard anything about the Wakhan corridor?
I know a few people like that I've seen trip reports about it that had gone. And
Looks cool.
I would love to go there.
But like, I can't imagine it's, and granted there's that like unique cultural angle, which of course there is with anywhere, but like for anybody who doesn't know, the Wakhan corridor is this like northwesternmost like corridor that's technically part of Afghanistan. It's effectively like an autonomous region. Like it's never really been affected by any war. Basically no one lives there. There's like one road in and out of it that is like slightly more traversable than it has been in the past. And it's just like a remote, crazy experience.
Yeah, no, there's just not much out there. Like I know a few people that had like gone hiking through there. Like there's like the Wakhan Mountains and like a bunch of the tribes there. And like, I think different like ethnic groups and stuff. But yeah, it's more the nature and not much going on there. And you need like special permits, I think, to go up there too.
It's expensive, I've heard.
Yeah, very expensive.
Crazy, dude. Wow. Well, like what an adventure. Yeah, Lynch. What do you think? You thinking about doing that one of these days or what? On your highway?
If they finish paving the tunnel, maybe. I don't know. I'm more of a sit crisscross applesauce and listen to these stories while you brave men go out there. But no, you guys have great stories that you'll get to share with your grandchildren.
Hopefully.
My grandkids will not be as impressed with my trepidations and commitment to exclusively go to Disney World. There's nothing impressive about that. You guys have some great stories to share, and I respect the adventure you have.
Yeah, putting together all that dad lore.
Yeah, a lot of dad lore. So you were just saying to me earlier that you're intending to be traveling for the next year.
Yeah.
So what do you plan? How much have you planned that out? How much do you like plan some stuff and then let other stuff just happen?
I usually like don't really plan anything, and just kind of go with the opportunities that like pop up throughout the year. Like last year, like I wasn't even planning on going to like Afghanistan or like any of this. I basically was planning on doing like the basic Southeast Asia route and to like explore that area.
Thailand and stuff.
Yeah. So I started in Thailand for like a month and a half, and I ended up meeting the British guys that we went on this Afghanistan like big trip with in Bangkok. And they were like, oh, we're like planning this trip to Pakistan, Afghanistan, and all of this stuff. And I'd already messaged them actually the year before, like, hey, when you guys want to go to Afghanistan with me?
Interesting.
Because I didn't want to go alone yet.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I want to go with someone if I'm going to go there.
Totally.
And then they couldn't go last year. And then this year they're like, oh, we're going. And I was like, oh, all right, I'll change all my plans for the year. And I'm going to go on this trip. Yeah. And my hometown friend, actually, Josh, he had come out to Thailand with me. And he's like really new to traveling. Like I took him to like he came to Peru with me. Like that was his first time ever leaving the US.
Wow.
And Thailand was like his fourth country ever. And then we were like all talking about this Afghanistan and this huge trip. And I didn't really think he wanted to go. And then he's like, I'll go.
Wow.
So Afghanistan was like his seventh country.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. So he was all for it. Like,
good for him.
Yeah.
I was not expecting you to say that just now.
Yeah. And because of my German passport, like, since he came with us, he ended up being the only American on the trip
Hilarious.
too. So I was like, yeah, you're coming with us and you're also just going to be the only American. Yeah. So whenever they opened it, like they never really cared like if you're an American or not, but like they always wanted to know who the American was. Totally. Like every time we got to a checkpoint, they're like two British, one German, one American. And they'd always open the door and be like, which one's the American?
And then they usually probably just be like, well, it's crazy that you're here.
Yeah,
right?
Basically.
But yeah, it definitely adds like an extra level of stress to the whole thing. But good for him.
So I don't really plan much of the travels. And then now that like I've been focusing more on my content, like I'm kind of going a bit where like opportunities present themselves for either like free or paid type of trips or just like stuff that I think would be really interesting. because I've kind of leaned more for my content to going more into the like obscure places and the places that have like a negative perception about them, and trying to show people that like maybe it's not actually the way the media presents it. Like what I did with Pakistan a lot, and that was one country where it gets like, it's very similar to India, and yet it gets almost, I don't even know what the percentage is, but so many less visitors. When in reality it's like just as safe and amazing and has so much stuff. So I tried to show how special that place is, and like especially just the Middle East in general, like always gets such a bad rep, and like usually has some of the best hospitality and cool people and like just fun experiences. So I'm going to try and showcase more of that stuff.
Cool. So do you have like specific spots that you know you want to hit, or that like you're like?
I mean, like Iraq, Iran, Jordan are really big on the list because those like have so much cool stuff to offer. Especially Iran just has a lot of really interesting stuff that you never really see. And like I also just try to share like a lot that like a country's government or not its people, and like they don't really have much choice in that. So like the people shouldn't really be affected by it.
Right.
Like you should go and get to experience the culture and the history and like of that place. Even if like they don't really have a choice in the government. So get to go and showcase those kind of places.
Totally, dude. Totally. No, I that's definitely something that I'm very interested in doing as well. And like, because it is just so different, and it's amazing that to me, that's one of the more amazing things about doing all this is like just getting to like feel that like there's you'll hear things that you're so certain of, and then like because they're just so widely believed and regarded, but they're kind of like broad ideas. So then like going to a place, like you see way more specifically how the things that you know to be true aren't always specifically true, if they're even true at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Like so many of these places, when I talk to my friends at home, they're like, I didn't know anything about this. Like obviously like the wealth gap might be bigger in places like Pakistan and stuff, but like when I show my friends the modern and like wealthy side of things that like I experienced in Pakistan, they're like, oh my God, like I didn't know any of that existed. Like there's some super fancy parts of Pakistan, like especially in the cities. Like I went to like one of the nicest golf courses in Pakistan.
That's
and
crazy.
it is like, it looks like anything you'd see in like Florida.
You a golfer?
Yeah, I'm trying to get better. Yeah.
That's
like
nice.
my dad's a big golfer, so like
Sick.
whenever I go visit him, I try to improve my game a bit, but
Solid.
I'm not great. I try.
Yeah, dude, that's sick. Wait, so the golf, and then you just like played 18 holes in Pakistan?
Yeah, I played like 9 holes. Like that was the coolest thing with like Pakistan. Like when I was making all these videos, I had so many people reach out, or like, hey, my dad owns this restaurant, or like we have access to this thing, like you should come, like we'd love to invite you for dinner, or like have you stay with us. Like I probably got like 70, 80 different messages from people like wanting to host me, or like show me some cool stuff, or like, oh, like I live in this unique area, we'd love to show you what we're doing here. And like I only got to visit and take up a few of these people on their offers, but they're all so genuine, and they're like, all they want to do is like showcase like how cool the country is. And now after my second trip there, like I probably even have a longer list because just more and more people kept popping up, and like my content was reaching so many people.
Yeah. So that's the thing that I don't want to say struggle with, but like there are places that I really want to go back to, and it's hard because you want to go new places too. And like, I think it would be nice to do a fusion model of that where like maybe I can do both of those things at the same time on the same trip or whatever. Like I would love to go back to Iraq and do see some of the stuff that I did not see the first time that I went. That would be sick. You mentioned Syria before. So what is the deal with that right now? Like are the content people talking about it? Like because I know there's this new government. For all intents and purposes, it seems as if the new government might be good for travelers eventually once they figure everything out.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to tell right now. It's like way too early still. I know at least for like journalists and like I guess official media type of people, you can go in right now, like because there's no entry stamp or anything. You just walk in basically. But like there's crazy lines of people like trying to get back into Syria.
Oh, people who are refugees who want to go home now.
Because all of a sudden, like forever, like all these people left the country because of what was going on, or like because of like the dictator.
It was the biggest flight of humans, I think, ever in history of the world. Or something.
It's
Millions
crazy.
and
And like
of people.
so many people like would have loved to go back, but they can't because they're refugees. And now all of a sudden they're not refugees anymore. They're just Syrians. And
Got it.
they can go, like the situation might not be great, but they're at least allowed to go back now.
Interesting.
And so that'll time will tell with that situation. But I hope like it gets better now and that I can go. Because I've tried to go for 3 years in a row now, and every year like just something has come up that's made me not allowed to go, or like
the visa can be tough.
I got the visa even last year, and then like with things like getting crazier in the Middle East and around that area, I was like, oh, maybe I'll wait until next year. And then this year I was like, well, the last 2 years I've tried to go in November and something came up. And then I was like, oh, this year I'm going to go in March. And now again, like something happened there. So we'll see about that, but it'd be cool to do those. And I was even thinking about going by land from like Dubai to Iraq, like through like Qatar and Bahrain and Kuwait and stuff, because that's all pretty like accessible to do. And through Saudi, I think is there. Yeah, I think you'd be going through Saudi.
And you go to Basra if you enter.
Yeah, exactly.
Iraq's great, dude.
Yeah, I'm really excited to visit there too.
You're gonna love it. Yeah, I'm excited to go back. I didn't really get to go like to the northern parts at all or Kurdistan or anything, but I want to do that. So.
Yeah, I just watched like the Yes Theory, like 100 Hours in Iraq too, and that was really cool.
Nice.
I think you went with the same company too, Aya.
Yeah, I think I actually set Yes Theory up with them.
Oh, okay, that's really cool.
Because one of their producers hit me up and was like, "Hey, like, how'd you feel about Aya? Blah blah blah." So, but no, Aya and Ahmed are my fucking homies, dude.
Yeah, they seem amazing.
They're invited to my wedding. Couldn't make it. It's tough to get the visa.
Yeah,
but
that is tough.
Yeah, they're dope. And yeah, it's cool, man. Like it is cool too, because those two are like cool ass people. Like I think you need to remember too, if you're traveling and you're going to link up with some of these people, like they are like a lot of them are very successful. Like they make a lot of money doing this, especially for like what they're charging and what it is based on like what people make there and all that stuff. So they're like confident, like pop-in business people who don't need you. So like you got to make sure you treat them well. Because Aya will even tell me about like when people don't treat them well, and like she's like, "Fuck that guy," and I'm like, "That's so funny." Like that rules. So anyway, yeah, just remember that these people like are people. Like I guess as easy and simple as that sounds, it's not always.
Yeah, I mean everyone around the world, like in a big sense, is like the same. Like everyone's just looking for connection and cool experiences, and just like meeting more people, and like the like media and just news and whatever that you see like is meant to kind of just like disassociate with you with that. But at the end of the day, like all these places like overall are the same. Like some of them have bigger issues than others, but like even in like Baghdad and stuff, like there's all these like video game cafes.
Dude, yeah, I went to one and it was sick.
Yeah, like I want to go there and like play FIFA with locals there.
Yeah,
like, it seems sick.
Did you see my Iraq video?
Were you playing FIFA with them? Okay, I knew I saw that from someone's video. I couldn't remember who.
Might have been mine, yeah. But I'm sure maybe other people too. But dude, yeah, it was like such a vibe, so funny, so fun. But also it's important with the Syria discussion. Like I know a couple people who've been there the last couple of years, but like you can't take it for granted that you can go places sometimes, because I was in Jordan when I was much younger, and Syria was just a normal ass place then. I mean, it still is, but like it was pre-war, pre any Arab Spring, and I could have just like gone, and I didn't, and I regret that because it would have been cool to go. But now it seems like it's a tricky thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like a lot of privilege to get to go to some of these countries, like a lot of passport privilege too. And I mean, one thing I've noticed a lot with certain countries like this that have gone, like especially Afghanistan or like, yeah, some of those, like even I was in Venezuela too. And like when you make content about those places, there's a lot of people that have left or like had family members leave, and now they grew up hearing all about it and like all the cool traditions and whatever, but don't think they'll get to go back. So like through your videos, they get to like see their homeland, and they're like so excited to see someone else going there and getting to showcase their traditions and everything. Like I just came back from Tunisia too, and like so many people like that like live abroad now are like missing Tunisia and like love seeing the videos of like other foreigners going there and showcasing it, because that's also such an underrated country and so beautiful.
I'm sure it's sick. Yeah, the passport privilege too is such a thing. Like you know, if you're from America or like Europe or whatever, like you can just go wherever you want for the most part. I know with the American passport it's a little more limited, but like to be able to do that, like some people are just unlucky that they were born in a place with a terrible passport. If you're from Afghanistan, you can't go anywhere. It sucks.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, the passport privilege is just crazy. And that's like something too, like having an American passport and a German one. Like I always want to like take advantage of that to the fullest, like, and try and like use that privilege that I have to get to experience these countries, because a lot of people would love to do that, and so many Americans too, like, don't even leave the country and like check out what else there is, even though they like have like that passport privilege already.
Totally, dude. Totally. Well, Lynch, what's on your hit list? If next year they're like, all right, Lynch, you have 2 weeks to travel, you have to go somewhere new, and we'll pay for it or whatever, where would you go?
I think I'm going to Africa for my honeymoon.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you going to go safari?
Yeah.
No way.
Similar to what Francis did.
What are you going to do?
We are going to do, I don't know the specifics yet. We're still just getting started with it, but we're going to do half safari, half relaxation,
Cool.
and we're going to go to Africa.
Nice. Are you doing like Tanzania or
I think
like
so.
Kenya?
I think we
Okay.
want to do Tanzania.
Nice.
Cool, man.
Yeah, Tanzania is cool. I haven't done any like safaris there yet, but like I did some in other parts around there, and they're so cool. Like I
Yeah.
get to see the lions and like elephants and stuff just like roaming around is crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know it's morbid, but I want to see some animal on animal action.
You want to see a kill.
I want to see a kill.
A kill's rare.
Yeah.
They're tough to see.
Yeah, I think part of my brain was like 25% programmed to want to see that. And then what put me over the edge was the 26% chance that whenever I open up Twitter, I'm going to see a video of an alligator pulling a zebra into the water. And now, odds are I want to see that.
You want to see some live National Geographic action.
Yeah.
Hell fucking.
And what's not cool is some people, and I will not participate in this. If I go out and I don't see it, that's fine. That's how it is. That's nature. But I've seen videos of the video that I was just mentioning. There was a zebra. It was going to drink some water, and there was an alligator that was preying on him. And the zebra was hesitant to go closer and deeper because it could see the zebra. And somebody in the safari car threw some food kind of in the in-between the both animals. And so the zebra went for it and got
Jesus.
sucked in. And I didn't think that was cool.
No, Jesus.
You don't mess with that.
That's not cool.
You don't mess with
You gotta
that.
let it be.
I won't mess.
It's gotta be natural.
It's got to be real.
Gotta be
It's got to be real, untouched tears.
That's cool. That's sick that you're doing that.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Very
So
cool.
very early stages with that. But yeah, after that, I think Italy and Greece and some of those other European areas.
Italy's great because it's very easy to just like drive around Italy. So you can kind of just like, the world is your oyster.
Yeah.
Very sick, dude. I look forward to all of that for you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
all
that'd
right.
be cool. I haven't been to Greece yet, but I've heard it's amazing.
It's sick. Gotta go to the islands. All right, Ben, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah,
Let us
thanks
know
for
where we
having
can
me.
find you and check out your stuff.
Of course, yeah. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at Ben Books the World. And yeah, thanks
Fuck yeah.
again.
I look forward to seeing where you're at in the future. Good luck. Hopefully no salmonella, but
I
keep
hope
eating
so,
that
too.
street food, dude. I'm sure that iron stomach is only getting stronger.
Oh yeah, lots of crazy adventures to come.
Fuck yeah, dude. Awesome. Good shit. Ben, thanks for coming on.
Nice to meet you.
Make sure you check out all of our shit too at Oops Podcast, oops.podcast@gmail.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also follow my YouTube channel at Not Julio, Not Julio Instagram, Not Julio G, TikTok, Snapchat. And I got a bunch of road dates coming up. Anchorage at the end of January. Then I have Chicago in March, Providence, Rhode Island, Portsmouth, New Hampshire, Charlotte, DC, all notjulio.com for tickets. Lynch.
Yeah, check me out at Ryan is Really Polite. Got some shows in January, so please just check out my stories and anything I post on all platforms. Ryan is Really Polite for info on that. And please leave a comment on the YouTube section, a destination that you have been vying to visit, and hopefully we'll pull trigger on. Do you have any other questions that you would want people to give feedback on in the comment section?
Yeah, just like what crazy destinations do you want to go to or want to see me go to?
Cool.
Fuck yeah.
Cool.
Oh yeah. Good shit. Ben Books the World. Thank you guys. Goodbye.